That weekend at the Fang family training field, Tian goes around the place and thinks there are so many people here, and they have all brought expensive-looking weapons. He decides to keep his distance as some of the people look dangerous. He overhears a conversation between two guys. One of them asks the other if all these people here are newly awakened people from different provinces. The other guy replies that they are, and that all the resources from the dungeons are controlled by the 4 major clans. If one wasn't part of the major clans, then they could only hunt in the areas of the dungeons not owned by them. And there are not that many treasures in these places, and it was dangerous as well. Tian has a card with the number 208 on it. It is announced that all those who have received a number should come for evaluation, according to their number, out of the ability tiers, which are S, A, B, C, D, E, and F. F is the lowest. After awakening, the level is fixed, and there are only a few people in the world who can awaken their abilities. Out of those who manage to awaken, 90% are at F tier. Hunters who are at D level and above make up just 1% of that number. The number of S tier hunters worldwide is close to none. There may not even be 10. But they are powerful enough to control an entire country. In fact, the military of country M is subject to a foreigner, the only S tier hunter of X country, G Boni. Tian waits in the queue for evaluation. When it's his turn, he is asked to place his hands close to an orb to test his power. So Tian brings his hand close to the glowing orb and an F appears on it, with a blank below it to suggest no occupation. Tian is surprised that he is just an F tier. Tiers below E were considered weak and would not be granted an occupation. From E onwards, occupations would be divided into warriors, mages, archers, assassins, summoners, and healers. 2 other guys who also just finished their evaluation make a scene out of being E tier summoners. One of them says that he thought he would at least be a D tier as he had summoned a great wolf once. The other guy says he can turn invisible for 5 seconds, and other people had always thought he would be in a tier. Tian wonders why they're showing off. Then, another guy named Zheng Quan is evaluated as a D-tier berserker, and everyone watches in awe. Tian pauses to think while the 2 guys shrug and say that's life. Tian then checks his window where the progress is still at 1%. He wonders what level he would be if he leveled up completely. At the new recruits training center, the recruits are dressed in uniforms and have all become new recruits of the Fang family. A Fang elder tells them that he would be their instructor for various types of weapons. He talks about a legend where in ancient times, there was a unique martial arts that could bring out one's inner strength. He asks them to concentrate their inner force on their swords, which would enable them to kill from miles away. He says that even though they're all awakened hunters, their powers are nothing like the inner strength of those legends. And besides their abilities, the only way to wield their weapons is their true power. He explains that the differences in angle strength and speed could all affect their destructive power. He demonstrates with a smooth swing of his sword and slices bamboo shoots into pieces. Tian notes that this move is perfect status. The rest of the recruits also watch in amazement. Tian watches him demonstrate with a spear this time, and yet again, it's perfect status. He then uses an axe and other such weapons, all of which are perfect status. Tian feels happy as he could learn these from him to level up. At the weapons training hall, 2 guys are exhausted and complain about why they have to practice with weapons when they are mages who have been assigned to logistics. Fang Dun hears this and smacks them, asking how they could ignore the Fang Elder's words. He tells them that if they could not wield a weapon, not even the logistics team would want them. He yells at them to go train properly, and they both run to do so. Meanwhile, in another corner of the room, Tian practices diligently. The system keeps reminding him to practice the posture correctly over and over again. After a while of practicing, he raises the sword and whacks it to the ground. His short sword skill has been raised to 100% and he has leveled up. Tian feels satisfied and decides to practice with an axe next. Some recruits watch Tian practice long and hard. They say he's been practicing for several days without taking a break. By now, Tian's axe skill is raised to 100% as well. He has also managed to do the same with a halberd and a few other weapons. Next, he wants to practice a long sword, but the elder didn't show a perfect strike with it, so he would have to learn it by himself. So he might not be able to reach 100% by just training. He might need to actually fight to master it. 1 week later, Fang Dun tells them that, as it has been a whole week, each of them should have found a suitable weapon. He then asks them to take that specific weapon to the combat simulation hall. Everyone goes to the hall excited that they actually get to fight, except for Tian, who is still training. They say that Tian must be a coward, which is why he is staying here in the practice room. It is said that after most hunters awaken, their abilities cannot be changed, so further practice is not required. What everyone pays attention to is killing monsters and using the rewards gained from them to buy equipment to improve their strength. They think that this is the only way to progress. No one knows how to improve their abilities, and they don't think about the relationship between refining their moves and improving their abilities. Two recruits walk towards the hall while talking about Tian. One of them says he's an F-tier idiot, just swinging weapons in the training room, without knowing what he is doing. The other guy says that he is just a teacher's pet. The other recruit replies that this is just an opportunity for him to get the attention of the instructors. He also says Tian's just been chosen by one of the masters of the Fang family personally, and there's nothing more to it. Fang Chunyi, who was passing by at the time, hears this and asks them if they really have people like that training here. He says Fang Dun is getting more and more stupid. Zheng Quan is walking right behind him. Fang Chunyi notices him and asks him why he's behind him and if he has something to say. Zheng says that he's a new D-tier berserker. He then says that everyone knows Zhang Chunyi is one of a kind in the Fang family and will be getting married to the family leader's daughter. He then bows to him and says he wants his help. Fang Chunyi calls him smart and agrees. He says that since he's D-tier, he could join his team directly next month, so he wouldn't need to waste his time training here, and Zheng is grateful to Fang Chunyi. Tian is still practicing with his long sword until he reaches 100%. When he's done training, he receives a special power called Inner Strength. This power would increase the user's attack and user's defense power. There is also a chance that a wielded weapon would use the user's willpower to deal huge damage to the target. Tian wonders if this inner strength is the same as the one the Elder was talking about earlier. It is powerful and he is now proficient with weapons, so he decides to go try it out in combat. Tian soon reaches the portal to the combat zone. He thinks it looks pretty spectacular. As one of the recruits is about to enter the portal, he is stopped by the instructor and told that he can't enter. When asked why, he is told that the portal to the combat zone is only for those who are rank D and above, and since his rank is too low, he would not be allowed to go in. Other low-rank recruits argue that this is open to the public 24/7, so they should be allowed to use it, and that low rankers are still ability users. The instructor says that rules are rules and priority is given to those with high ability. He also tells them that if they want to complain, they should go look for the person in charge. Parties are at the bottom of the food chain and only the strong could survive. High rankers are able to enter higher level dungeons, gaining more valuable resources. In every party and guild, 90% of the loot is taken by the top attackers, while those of low ability could only act as support, staying at the back or being crushed like ants during a guild war. The instructor asks the recruits if they really thought the Fang family is like a safe heaven. He also mentions that they always ensure strong recruits get priority. He then says that if they want to blame someone, they should blame their mothers for birthing them without strong abilities. The rest of them decide that they are just unlucky and leave. However, Tian stays back and thinks how they can just expect low rankers to just accept they're unlucky. So, he goes up to the man and asks him what if a person's true ability is not that of an F rank. The man calls Tian a brat and tells him not to bother acting cool. He says that before an actual combat, many beginners will believe that they are not just an F rank, only to enter and be proven wrong. He also says that trash like Tian who enter are only seeking death. Suddenly, a hand appears out of the portal. A guy pokes his head out and says that he needs people. He says he urgently needs tanks and asks them to follow him quickly. The instructor recognizes the guy to be from the Zheng Quan party. He asks him if he encountered any issues. The guy says they are in trouble, so they need people immediately, and also says that Zheng has promised to give a reward. Tian says that is nice and volunteers to go. He asks if there is anyone else who is willing to join, as the more people there are, the better it would be, and a couple of people agree to join. The portal leads to an underground city with netherworld demons, and the difficulty level is a simulating D rank. The recruits are battling a D rank demon boss. It seems insanely powerful for being just a D rank. Not only does it have combat skills, it also knows magic. The boss is this strong and lesser demons keep spawning. One of the guys asks Zheng Quan if they should just head back as they should not take such risks, because even though they wouldn't die in this simulation, the senses are 100% real and too much simulation could cause a person to go insane. Another guy from the party also agrees to this and says that he heard that one of the newbies before broke his leg in the simulation. Even though his leg was still there without any injuries, he could no longer use his leg. Zheng remembers how Fang Chunyi had told him earlier that if he performed outstandingly in the D-rank underground city, he would let him be a captain. So he tells his party to not give up and keep going if they are men. The demon boss roars and thrashes its weapon to the ground. When it heads towards Zheng, he holds up his sword in order to block its attack, but it is too heavy and he is not able to keep her at bay for too long. He yells at his party and asks where the guy who went to the portal for help is. Tian and the other guys enter through the portal along with the guy who came to them for help. Tian notices that the combat practice underground city has an intense and imposing atmosphere. One of the guys says he is scared to be in a place with such an atmosphere. Another guy comforts him by saying that he would be safe with him. The guy asks the new party members to hurry up as Zheng can't wait any longer. Meanwhile, Zheng and his sword are flung across just as Tian and the others arrive. Zheng is incredibly happy to see them and asks them to quickly join the battle. Zheng then notices Tian and remembers him as the F-rank bookworm who only knows how to practice with weapons. He wonders what the use of calling him here is. The guy who brought them here tells Zheng that many people did not dare to enter after hearing that even Zheng Quan was facing issues, and these three were the only ones who were willing to enter. Picking up his sword, Zheng says they would use what they have. Zheng orders two of them to flank the left and right side of the boss to attract its attention. Tian and two others are ordered to just stay in the surrounding and clear the lesser demons. The demons just walk about and the guy fearfully wonders what he should do. He is then told to attack those lesser demons or else they would interfere with their fight with the boss. So Tian realizes that the lesser demons won't attack them unless they show hostility. Tian takes his sword out of the sheath and the demon notices this and closes in on him. The demon is an underworld soldier and its attack defense is to weaken its target's defense. The level is not easy for beginners to handle, but Tian sees it as the perfect time to test out his new sword style that he just practiced called Single Perfect Strike. The terror the demon inflicts on him is on a completely different level compared to the D-rank Python from the other day. He tells himself that it is just a basic demon and nothing more. He runs towards it and attacks while nailing his Single Perfect Strike. The demon's health is low. This is his first time using it in a battle after vigorous practice, and he was almost able to kill it. With yet another strike, the demon is killed. As expected by Tian, although he was only an F-rank ability user, the system's E-rank monsters are nothing to him. He is now confident that he could even challenge the Python from before. Tian comes across yet another demon and attempts to slay this one as well. The other recruit watches Tian in action. Tian seems so calm and relaxed to him, so he wonders if the demon is actually weak. And since he is an F rank as well, he wonders if he would be able to fight it too. So he hesitantly goes up to the demon and hits it on the back with his staff. It turns around and growls at him, leaving the guy feeling scared. Tian then notices what's going on and tries to help his fellow party member out. He advises him to not panic as a demon of this level is not that difficult to face. He also tells him to not be intimidated by its aura. He then tells him to stay behind and watch how he deals with it. In the meantime, Zheng is battling the boss monster. He is frustrated that even after fighting it for so long, the monster's sword radiance is getting stronger and stronger. So he decides that he has no choice but to use his last resort. So he immediately activates Iron Blood. Among the 10,000 D-rank hunters, only Zheng had this ability, which instantly increases his defense and power. He orders everyone to attack with him, thereby dividing the boss's attention and block its attacks. So they all rush forward towards the boss to attack it. Tian continues to fight the lesser demons while the other recruit just watches. So he tells him to not just sit there and watch and asks him what the point of coming here is if he is not going to do anything. But before he can answer Tian, the demon shows up next to him and the guy runs away, saying that he wants to go home. After strengthening, Zheng's attacks are indeed effective. The demon has not hit him once after that either, but his body seems to be moving slower and slower. He wonders if the slashes made by the boss's sword have a paralysis effect. The scared recruit continues to run, causing the other recruit to yell at him to come back as they are in the midst of a battle. Zheng still feels paralyzed in mid-air. He is not able to move Ithera and the next moment, he disappears. While the party is surprised, one guy explains that in the underground dungeon, before receiving a lethal attack, one would be teleported out. So they collectively decide to run out as they would not be able to beat TH boss by themselves. When the first recruit exits the portal, he is surprised to see that Zheng is already there. He asks Zheng why he is out here as he had just seen him in the underground dungeon. Another recruit who also just exited asks him why he's questioning Zheng when it's all because of him. He then punches him and says that Zheng must have been distracted by him running away or else he would have easily dodged the boss attacks. The guy apologizes and says that he was just scared and did not mean to run away. The whole group is out now and they are all yelling at the guy and accusing him of being the reason they could not finish the mission. Upon hearing all this, Zheng thinks that it has to be that guy's fault too because it is impossible for him to lose. So they proceed to beat him up for interrupting their mission. Inside the underground dungeon, Tian has wiped out all of the lesser demons. He then looks for the boss and the rest of his party members. He notices that the boss still has some health left. Tian gets angry at his party members. He thinks that they should either not start the fight or finish it. He wants to destroy TH Boss until there's nothing left. The system shows him the boss's attack style, which is that it weakens the target's defense and its sword slashes burn everything and cause a paralysis effect. Tian is glad that the system is not completely useless as it just helped him perceive the boss's skill set. Tian prepares to attack the boss, but the strike is easily blocked. Tian notes that the boss has a high defense but a low attack. As long as he is careful not to get hit and paralyzed, he would be able to beat the boss. Tian also thinks that this would be an ideal time to completely master that ability, and raises his sword in order to attack the boss. Outside the combat simulation, Zeng is torturing the guy by beating him up. He says he would hit him until his anger is appeased. The other recruits watch this nervously. A girl says that if this continues, he'd be beaten to death. The guy next to her tells her not to say anything or she would get into trouble too. Others talk about how one person has not exited yet, referring to Tian. They wonder if the person was so afraid that they could not even run away. Although there were ability users in the crowd, not one of them dared to stop the bullies. This is the rule in the world of ability users. The strong are to be respected. Suddenly, someone yells at Zeng to stop what he's doing. Tian shows up and asks Zeng how, as a leader, he could blame others when the boss humiliated him. Tian then calls him a loser and tells him to blame no one but himself for being too weak. The other recruits around them think Tian has gone mad as he is just an F tier trying to insult a D rank. Zeng becomes furious, drops the guy he was beating up and turns his attention towards Tian. He dares Tian to say what he called him again. Tian does not hesitate to say that he is weak again. Earlier in the underground dungeon, the boss's blade's aura had touched Tian, eliminating the protection of his gloves. His blade aura had a 10% paralysis effect, so he knows that he can't drag this out for too long. Tian would have to hit him with perfect timing accuracy, so he decides to make a perfect strike with his sword and is successful in doing so. The health of the boss demon decreases, which Tian is glad to see. He uses the perfect status with the halberd like the elder had taught him and manages to chop off the boss's arm. Next, Tian uses the axe and perfectly copied the technique that the elder had shown him. He cuts through the demon's head in half. The bar seems to be empty, so Tian is happy that he finally did it. But all of a sudden, he feels his body getting paralyzed. Earlier, the system had informed Tian that he would have to be in a near-death state to be able to activate internal force. And since the internal force conditions have now been met, it is activated. Because of this, full protection has been activated and his attack power and defense power is increased by 25%. And there would also be a chance that the user's willpower would be imbued into his weapon, causing huge damage to the target. Upon internal force activation, the current negative effects are also removed. Once he has defeated the demon boss, Tian spots an object on the ground. It is a reward for beating the boss. The skill book is Nether Swordsmanship. To attain these skills, all he would have to do is smash the object. So, Tian crushes it and immediately, an aura erupts from it and surrounds him. The system shows that he has earned new combat skills called Uppercut and Combo Punch, novice-level weapon skills of weapons such as Long Sword, Short Sword, Halberd and Axe, and intermediate-level special abilities called the Nether Swordsmanship. But the mastery level is only at 10%. Tian is disappointed as he thought that he would be granted full mastery, but it is only at 10%. He wonders if this is happening on purpose. Back outside the portal, Tian tells Zeng that if he could not beat a boss that someone weaker than him was able to beat, then it's clear that he is nothing but a weakling. Zeng angrily swears at Tian and rushes forward to punch him, but Tian dodges it. Zeng continues to attempt to hit Tian, but they are all dodged by Tian with ease. When Zeng tries again, Tian grabs his first and grips it hard. Zeng wonders how Tian is able to do this. He can't believe an F tier is so strong. Zeng shouts at Tian to stop being so arrogant. But before anything else can be said, Fang Quanshui's voice interrupts them. She walks in and asks who allowed them to fight in the training room. In the control room, a man watches the battle that took place between Tian and the Ghost General boss. He is completely taken aback by this. The other man in the room asks him what it is. He tries to play it off by saying that it is nothing and that he got bit by a mosquito. He thinks to himself about how an F tier could beat the Ghost General boss. He then wonders if his data is wrong. He then decides that he can't let anyone find out or else he would be in trouble. So he presses on restart. Fang Quanshui questions Zeng and Tian if they know what the consequences for fighting in the newcomer area are. The instructor who had earlier prevented students from entering the portal for their low ranks shows up and asks Fang Quanshui what she is doing here while addressing her as mistress. The recruits hear this and realize she must be the legendary only daughter of the Fang family. They also say that she is very pretty and out of their league. Fang Quanshui says that she can't believe they were fighting. She asks the instructor if he was even watching over them. As the instructor tries to come up with an explanation, she notices the newcomer that Zheng beat up earlier on the floor. She asks the instructor what happened to the student as he seems to be injured. The instructor blatantly lies to her that he is a weak newcomer and got injured while training in the dungeon. She asks Ben to go and monitor them. She also asks if there is a healer among the recruits. One recruit says that she is a healer and Fang Quanshui asks her to go help him. She then wonders how the guy received injuries in a combat simulation. She knows that the instructor is lying to her face, so she thinks that if she does not do anything about this, then she would not be worthy of being the daughter of the Fang family. The girl heals the injured newcomer, and Ben returns after a few minutes and whispers to Fang Quanshui about everything that had happened earlier as it was caught on tape. After hearing it, she says that is bold. Fang Quanshui announces that as one of the executive directors of the Fang family's Awakened People division, she has the responsibility to regulate the actions of hunters like Zheng Quan. She then says that she is shocked to hear that some people here are acting this way. She says that he should be ashamed of himself as no progress was made and he bullied the weak. She then tells the other recruits that they would not be alone when they enter the dungeon and have to completely rely on teamwork and cooperation. She tells them how they stood idly and did nothing when they saw their teammate was being bullied. She then says that if this was the kind of teammates they were, how could anyone trust them in the future? She then points to Zheng Quan and says that he was the one leading the bullying, which is not in line with the Fang family's beliefs, and because of this, he would be banned from training. Zheng Quan is shocked that he is being fired. The instructor tries to tell Fang Quanshui that Zheng is one of the top students among the newly awakened and if they got rid of him, they would be seriously harmed. To this, Fang replies that he would also be expelled from the Fang family and never be taken back. As the instructor is being dragged away, he says that the master had requested him to look after Zheng Quan. However, Fang Quanshui does not reply and simply flicks her hair. All the students admire Fang Quanshui and think that she is incredible and dignified and a true heir of the Fang family. She then mentions Tian's name and the recruits think that he might be getting expelled too. Tian also sweats with worry. Fang Quanshui walks closer to him and asks him if he remembers her when they met at school before. Tian still looks up at her in fear. Fang Quanshui also notices this and thinks that he is misunderstanding. So she asks him if he does not have anything to say to her. In her mind, she thinks that if Tian bowed down to her now, she'd have no choice but to forgive him as he had helped her before. Tian finally speaks and asks her why she has to dress like that. He says it's very ugly now that she's right in front of him. He also says that he is very uncomfortable. Fang Quanshui is beyond offended to hear this. She asks him if he is mad and if she isn't actually dressed properly. He tells her that the color is not symmetrical. So she yells at him again and the men think that she is going to be mad all the time that she is with Tian from now. Suddenly, someone calls out Fang Quanshui's name. She and Tian turn around to see Fang Chunni with Zheng Quan tagging behind him. He tells her that it was just a small fight and it is not worth firing people because of it. One of the students wonders who this man is as he just called Quanshui by her name. Another student tells her that that's Fang Chunni, who is the adopted son of the family master and basically Fang Quanshui's brother. Fang Quanshui tells him that he doesn't understand yet as Zheng Quan was bullying others and if he was not stopped, he would have killed someone. She then says that if they keep someone like this in their sect, there is bound to be trouble. Fang Chunni tells her that she is the one that hasn't understood because he has allowed Zheng into his team, and if he kept teaching him from now, there would not be any trouble. He assures her that he would deal with it. When asked how he would deal with it, Fang Chunni says that they should give the person that Zheng Quan bullied a chance to beat him up, which would make it fair. Zheng Quan also agrees to this and says he would endure it. However, the guy who was bullied says that it is fine and he does not wish to do it. In his mind, he thinks that if he did it, then Zheng would bully him again for it. Tian thinks that this whole thing is well thought out by Fang Chunni as no one would dare to hit Zheng, and this would not resolve anything. Fang Chunni says that because the guy insisted that he didn't want to hit Zheng, this is resolved now. But to everyone's surprise, Tian says that he would do it for him. Fang Quanshui questions him while saying his name and Fang Chunni says that the name sounds familiar. So Zheng lets him know that this is the guy who got chosen personally by the representatives. Fang Chunni thinks that Tian is bold and he's also got someone who's powerful backing him. So he tells Tian that this is awkward because Zheng did not even bully him, so he shouldn't be the one to hit him. He advises Tian to not get involved with this. Tian then says that he does not care even if Zheng fights him back, but he just wants to finish their fight. He also says that if he lost, he would leave, and if Zheng lost, he would have to go. Fang Chunyi agrees to this and says he does not have a reason to refuse. Fang Quanshui asks Tian if he can actually do this because Zheng is a D rank. Unable to look at her, Tian closes his eyes and replies to her. He says that he has to do this so Zheng would not bother them any longer. Seeing this, she angrily asks him why he's doing that and Tian asks her to stop coming closer to him. Fang Chunyi wonders what's going on here as he had just heard them arguing a minute ago. And Quanshui wasn't normally like this, so he thinks that she might know him from somewhere. He also wonders if he's a relative of hers, but then decides that he can't be as he knows all her relatives. Before the fight begins, Fang Chunyi reminds Zheng Quan to hit Tian hard and Zheng asks him not to worry about it as he is stronger than Tian. Soon, the fight between Zheng and Tian takes place and the other newcomers cannot seem to believe that Tian is just an F tier, and he is able to hold his own against Zheng Quan. He's able to swiftly dodge every single one of Zheng's blows. The recruits can't understand how Tian is able to still be standing after so long despite going against a D rank. Soon, Zheng enters a state of blood rage and is desperate to kill Tian. He continues to attack him but is unsuccessful. Tian realizes Zheng is really out to kill him and decides to test out his new ability called Nether Swordsmanship. So, Tian gives this new skill a shot and within moments, Zheng's strong sword is sliced into pieces. Zheng is absolutely shocked and wonders how Tian broke his sword like that. The other recruits cannot believe that an F tier was able to beat a D tier. They are all amazed that Tian won against Zheng Quan. Fang Quanshui tells Fang Chunyi that Tian is a lot stronger than he thinks he is. Fang Chunyi doesn't reply to this. He thinks about how there was a weird, ghostly aura around the blade, which increases the cutting power. He recognizes it to be Nether Swordsmanship, which Tian could have only received from defeating the Ghost General. He then thinks that there's no way Tian could have defeated it as he's just an F tier, so he questions if the entry test was incorrect. Fang Chunyi then says that he did not realize how pathetic Zheng Quan was and so he would remove him from his raiding party. He then goes up to Tian and says that the entry test must have got his power level wrong. He also says he wants to take Tian to get tested again so they don't underestimate his abilities again. Tian replies to him by saying that he doesn't care about what power level he is and that he doesn't need a rank title to prove his strength. Fang Quanshui convinces him to take the test again too as she believes his result was wrong as well. She also says that if he gets a higher result, he would be able to enter the higher tier dungeons, enter the raiding party, and it would overall be more convenient. Fang Chunyi also informs Tian that he could make sure Tian gets into a raiding party if his strength is really that high. In the testing room, they wait for the results. Soon, the results show that Tian is just an F tier. The person conducting the test also says that he is really an F tier, and his readings are very ordinary. Fang Quanshui says that the test must be malfunctioning. The woman tells her that they've used the best technology at their disposal for this and Tian is nothing but an F tier. Fang Chunyi believes there's no way Tian could have beaten the D tier dungeon boss if he's just an F rank, so he wonders how he was able to receive the Nether Swordsmanship skill. Meanwhile, Tian assumes that maybe because his powers come from the system, the test was not able to detect it. Fang Chunyi then assumes that Quanshui probably lowered the stats of the Ghost General so Tian could achieve the Ghost Sword ability. He angrily thinks that Tian is a threat. He then asks him if he wants to join the raiding party and go to the dungeon next week. Tian asks him what he means as he just went in today. Fang Chunyi says to Tian that today was just a simulated test for newcomers to get some experience for the dungeon. He then says that he wants Tian to go into the dungeon for real because he knows that he is strong enough. Fang Quanshui tries to reason with Fang Chunyi by saying that he is still just an F tier, and going into a dungeon for real is too dangerous. Chunyi tells her to calm down and says that it would just be a routine E rank dungeon. He also adds that even though Tian is an F rank, he managed to beat Zheng Quan who is a D rank, so an E tier dungeon should be easy for him. Fang Chunyi asks Tian again if he would want to go in next week. Tian takes some time to think about it. Actual combat experience would help him to level up much faster. He could also upgrade his skills much faster in the dungeon and that might help him get rid of the system. So Tian says that he would join in. Fang Chunyi walks up to Tian while saying that is excellent. He then puts on a glove and shakes Tian's hand and welcomes him to the Fang family's raiding party. He tells him he would see him next Friday, and then says that when he's in the dungeon, he might run into some issues, which he wouldn't be able to help with. In the dungeon, dark monsters appear. It appears to be connected to another world, which is constantly transporting monsters in. Awakened hunters discovered that they could kill the monsters to gain monster crystals. They contain a huge amount of power and thus they became highly treasured. Over the last few decades, dungeons have appeared all over the world. When they showed up, all hell broke loose. Every so often, new dungeons will appear and old ones will die off. In order to maintain their control over a decent amount of dungeons, the 4 major families have assembled raiding parties made up of the most elite people to explore the dungeons. 1 week later, in front of the portal to the Fang family's E-tier dungeon, the Fang family raiding party 18 raiders wait for Tian to join them. One of them asks the others why the newbie is not here yet. He then says that if Tian is late, they would just leave him behind and go. Another person says that it was ordered by the Fang family manager so they would have to wait. That's when Fang Chunyi walks in with Tian beside him. Chunyi tells the raiding party that they are very eager and impatient. They immediately apologize to him and say that they did not mean to complain. Chunyi asks them to not worry as he is not scolding them. He tells them that he has brought Tian with him. He introduces him as an F-tier and asks the rest of them to take care of him and make sure no accidents happen to him. The raiding party consists of C-tier hunter and team leader Liu Tian, D-tier hunter Lan Zimo, who is a healer, D-tier hunter Qin Kaifang, and D-tier hunter Lin Wu. All of them wonder if the manager is messing with them as he has asked an F-tier like Tian to join them. The 5 of them soon enter through the portal and reach the real dungeon and the battle begins. The E-tier dungeon is a worm tunnel and the task given to Tian by the system is to eliminate all the beasts. Tian hopes that the creatures in the worm tunnel don't look too weird. If they are asymmetrical, it would be too disgusting for him. Liu Tian tells him to stop looking around so much and informs him that when they cross the bridge, monsters would start to appear. Lan Zimo tells Tian to take care of himself as they would not always be able to protect him. They soon reach the edge of the tunnel. Liu Tian, the leader, tells everyone to get ready and Lan Zimo uses a defense boost to protect the 4 of them. The monsters come rushing out of the cave and the hunters charge forward. Tian wonders why she did not give him the defense boost. He then assumes that she may have forgotten to do so. She tells Tian to not hang around at the back because otherwise he would not get any reward. Tian does not care about the rewards and so he also moves forward towards the monsters. The other 3 are already battling the monsters. Tian joins them and immediately slices one of the creatures. Liu Tian compliments him and asks him if he is not scared of being in a dungeon for the first time. Lan Zimo also watches Tian continue to slay creatures and thinks that even though Tian is an F-tier, he won't go down easily. Soon, a monster gets close to Lan Zimo and she immediately activates Succubus Temptation, which enables her to control monsters for a short time and make them do whatever she wants. She then plans to give Tian a mishap. Tian has just stabbed a monster but is not able to pull the sword out. It seems stuck and Tian thinks that the sword must have been poorly made. Suddenly, a monster sets its eyes on Tian. Just as he pulls out the sword, the monster pounces on Tian, who moves away in time. Tian is confused and wonders what's going on with this particular monster because it coordinated its attack. Then the monster pounces at him while another one attempts to attack him from behind. Tian doesn't understand why they are all focusing on him. Meanwhile, the raiders watch this, thinking their job is done. It was a monster that killed Tian, so not even an autopsy could prove that it was them. But to everyone's surprise, Tian rises back up whilst using nether swordsmanship, ghost entanglement. He twirls the 2 monsters among themselves and then easily chops them up with one move. When he's done, he asks the rest of the party if they're done and if there's any more beasts here. Still taken aback by what happened, Liu Tian tells him that they are done. Tian notices that the monsters in this dungeon dissolve when they're dead. He was ready to clean up the corpses but they seem to disappear on their own. So he tells them to lead to the next level as they know the way. Liu Tian leads them through one of the tunnels, saying that this would be the way to go and fight the boss. Tian asks them why they are not going through the other tunnel as he had seen monsters coming out of that tunnel before. Liu Tian tells him that that way has only smaller beasts, and if they went this way, they could meet the boss. So going that way would be pointless. So Tian tells the group to go that way and fight the boss and that he would go the other way. He says that he would not be comfortable until the dungeon is completely cleared. Lan Zimo asks the other raiders if Tian noticed her actions and decided to go separately on purpose. Liu Tian tells her that he doesn't think Tian is that perceptive. So to find out, he asks her to go with him. If Tian refuses to allow her, that would mean he figured out what she did earlier. And in that case, they would have to kill him themselves. If Tian doesn't object, that would mean that they're clear and Lan Zimo could kill him by herself. She agrees and follows Tian and tells him that she would accompany him as it is dangerous to go alone. She also says that she is a mage so she could help treat his injuries and give remote assistance. Tian says he does not really care and asks her if the others do not need her help. She says that this E-rank dungeon should not be an issue for them at all because they're C and D rank hunters. Because Lan Zimo has not returned, Liu Tian tells the others that Tian must not have found out so Lan Zimo would find a way to get rid of him. He then says that they should go fight the boss and not delay their payment. Tian and Lan Zimo soon enter a dark portion of the tunnel. Tian says that they should have brought torches. Lan Zimo tells him to not worry about it because she can take care of it. Her wand acts as a light source illuminating the dark tunnel. They are finally able to see the creatures, which are man-eating ants. Tian asks her to keep the light on and races to slay the ants. Within moments, he is able to fight off a couple of the man-eating ants. This dungeon seems far too weak for Tian. He thinks that it may be because he managed to fight a D-tier boss before. This task does not seem difficult at all. The man-eating ants fall victim to his swordsmanship one at a time, and soon, he is done defeating them all. However, the system shows that only 30% of the task has been completed. Lan Zimo watches this and thinks that this is too easy for Tian. She wants to find a way to turn off the light. Tian leads the way and Lan Zimo follows. Suddenly, he stops and shoves his arm inside the walls of the tunnel. Feeling puzzled, Lan Zimo asks him what he is doing. Tian says that since the creatures are big and small, he figured that there may be some hiding in the crevices. He asks her to help him while he looks, and she thinks about what a weirdo he is. Soon, more creatures have appeared and Tian once again manages to slay them all. After fighting off the ants for half an hour, Tian's task completion level is still at 60%. They reach the end of the tunnel and it's a dead end. Tian is surprised because he is not at 100% completion yet, but there are no more creatures here. Lan Zimo then says that this cliff is very high. Tian agrees, but before he can complete his sentence, she gives him a shove from behind. As he falls down, Lan Zimo tells him to not blame her as Tian had upset her master. The pit that she pushed him into seems so deep, so Lan Zimo is sure that Tian won't be able to make it out of there. She is happy that she could get some good rewards for completing a task of this kind. However, in the pit, Tian hangs midway with the help of his sword, which is wedged in between a ridge. He can't believe that Fang Chunni had asked these people to kill him. He's also not able to see anything, so he thinks that he might have fallen down quite a bit. He tries to think of a way to get back up to the cliff, but then he sees a light glowing in the distance, so he decides to get to the bottom instead and check it out. So he pulls out the sword and allows himself to fall for a bit of a distance and then lodges his sword in between the rocks again. He can now clearly see that what he saw earlier was water, so he jumps down to the ground beside it. From the cave nearby, a swarm of E-tier ghostly moths fly out. These creatures release a toxic powder into the air which weakens their prey, then finishes them off with their razor-sharp mandibles. So Tian tells himself that he can't waste time with the ghostly moths. He uses inner strength and nether swordsmanship and swings his swords around at the moths. Almost immediately, the ghostly moths get sliced into tiny pieces and are defeated by Tian. The system then lets him know that the dungeon boss called Armored Insect has also been defeated by the other hunters, and therefore 99% of the task is now completed. Tian is surprised that even after beating the boss, the task completion level is at 99%. So he wonders if the hunters missed a few creatures due to their carelessness, because he did not miss any down here. As the dungeon boss has been defeated, Liu Tian orders everyone to pack up the rewards and get going. Haifeng feels disappointed that the rewards are just a few demon crystals and shield materials. He says that they aren't even worth anything at this point and that E-tiers are a complete waste of time. Liu Tian asks him to not worry as Fang Chunni would reward them well. Just as they exit out of their tunnel, Lan Zimo exits out of the other. Liu Tian asks her if she did it and she proudly says that she threw him off a cliff that's very deep. So he says that is great. He also tells her that she did a good job and lets her know that Fang Chunni would give them rewards. Tian continues to explore the place and look for any beasts that he may have missed. But even after searching in all of the nooks and crannies, he is not able to find anything. So he sits down next to a bunch of rocks. He notices a shiny object among the rocks, so he takes apart the rocks one by one to reveal an altar of some sort. Tian can't help noticing how one of the corners is broken, so the symmetry is all wrong. He sees the broken pieces on the ground and tries to put them together. The altar seems to still have some cracks, but it looks better to him. He then notices that the tray is not placed in the center, so he moves it to the middle and then he is satisfied with how it looks. Immediately, he receives a message from the system that the secret dungeon conditions of restoring the altar have been met, and the hidden room can now be opened. Before Tian can comprehend what is going on, the water swirls into a whirlpool and reveals the opening of a secret tunnel. Thinking that the remaining 1% must be down there, he jumps down. There, he comes face to face with a D-tier catastrophic spider queen. This beast could attack with corrosive, use restraining webs, shoot venom, and its claws and mandibles are razor sharp. Tian is unfazed that there is a D-tier monster in an E-tier dungeon. The catastrophic Spider Queen jumps at him to attack, but her attacks are slow enough for Tian to dodge, so he is hopeful that he can beat it. Suddenly, she shoots her restraining webs at Tian. The web wraps itself around him and Tian is unable to escape. While he is restrained, she shoots venom at him. Soon, poison is detected in Tian's body by the system and the catastrophic Spider Queen gets closer to him while Tian thinks that this may be how he dies. Because of the neurotoxins, Tian is entering a semi-coma state, and the poisoning progress is at 51%. Tian opens his eyes and wonders how he's still alive. He looks up to see the catastrophic Spider Queen gathering other smaller spider creatures. Tian realizes that she wants to feed him to her children. The poisoning progress is soon at 62%. Tian reminisces about a conversation he once had with YY. She had told him that there would always be an antidote near the place where there is a poisonous substance. Tian had told her that is something one would only find in a novel and such things do not exist in reality. YY says that is not necessarily right and that living beings are connected by a symbiotic relationship. If something is poisonous, then the only thing that can live beside it must be something that has the ability to resist the poison. Otherwise, it would be impossible for it to stay alive. This had made sense to Tian, so Tian decides to take YY's word and tries to analyze and study his surroundings. He sees some quartz crystals which has no detoxifying effects, some soil with spider poison, centipede feces which consists of poisonous digestive centipede juice and moss containing spider poison. Feeling disappointed, Tian thinks that these things are really just stories. The poisoning progress is at 70% and he feels as if he is about to die. In the corner, he spots a plant species called Wuling ginseng which has a detoxification ability, grows on rotten soil, and gets nutrients from the waste of the poisonous substances. Tian sees that this herb could be useful, so he grabs a few leaves. When the leaves are in his hand, the poisoning progress completely stops. He thinks that this leaf's antitoxin must be a passive ability. He is informed by the system that once the leaf is crushed, it would slightly relieve the effect of poisoning. Seeing this, he throws it away as he wants to wait for it to be at 100%. He keeps waiting for it to fill up completely while thinking if he should take the leaves and crush them or not. Soon the poison progress is at 93%, and the Spider Queen calls out to her children and tells them to eat him. As they crawl closer to Tian, the poison level reaches 100%. Because he has collected 100%, Tian has gained permanent resistance to this poison. Tian is amazed as he thought he was going to die. He didn't know that the system would have this kind of function. Tian then plucks some leaves to crush them. He also grabs his sword and kills some spiders. Tian now feels refreshed as the poison state has also been removed. However, the Spider Queen is furious that Tian has killed her children. She shoots out her restraining web at him again, but this time he dodges it and cuts it with his sword. While dealing with huge monsters like the Spider Queen, the scope of its attacks could be limited while fighting in close range, so Tian gets closer to her. When he is right under the Spider Queen, he pricks her with the sword and dashes forward in order to cut her open. This angers the Spider Queen, who shoots out more restraining webs to the ceiling of the cave. So Tian plucks some more of the ginseng leaves when suddenly he feels something hurt his leg. It's the children of the Spider Queen. Tian slices this one too, once again making the Spider Queen furious. It doesn't take too long before she transforms herself into a catastrophic giant spider woman berserker form. Tian is surprised but not scared. He jumps and runs in an attempt to dodge her web attacks. He notices that the attack pattern hasn't changed much. She also stays in a high place, so Tian tells her that won't stop him from hitting her. But his attacks bounce off of her. Tian is bewildered as this is his strongest skill. He is soon caught up in a maze of her webs, and after a couple more shoots, Tian finds himself trapped. He has absolutely no room to move. He realizes that the Spider Queen is really smart and this was its true intention. Tian is frustrated that he did not think of cutting the webs one by one. He thinks that he should have known that this was the Spider Queen's plan all along. Even if he cut them carelessly now, the originally inactive spider threads would be activated and the situation would become worse. The Spider Queen shoots out poison at Tian again. He crushes the leaves again, thinking that it might not work, but it gives him 30 seconds of poison immunity. Making use of this opportunity, Tian immediately shoots up towards the Spider Queen. She notices him and also shoots out her webs at him. Tian skillfully cuts right through the web and stabs her spinneret easily as it doesn't have any armor protecting it. He realizes that this is the Spider Queen's weak point and continues to stab her. Soon, the catastrophic Spider Queen explodes and falls apart. He waits and sees that there won't be another phase of transformation. The other smaller spiders crawl up to him and look at him as if they're begging for mercy. However, Tian says that he wouldn't have come searching for them if he didn't want to kill them all, which is what he does. Soon, Tian's mission to eliminate all the beasts in the underground city has been completed. For this, he receives a storage ring which he could use to store objects. The ring would shrink the objects and store them, which could then be pulled out whenever he needed them. His gloves are also upgraded into intermediate level gloves, and he could gain physical and poison defense once per day. Nether swordsmanship has also been leveled up after complete mastery has been reached at level 1. He also notices that his actual combat has boosted his stats a lot. His radar chart has grown a lot too. Soon the chart would be complete. For completing the underground city's hidden mission, Tian receives a jigsaw fragment. He picks it up and is puzzled that there is just one piece. The system informs him that if he collected all the other jigsaw pieces, he would be able to restore God's bone. Seeing this, Tian throws away the jigsaw piece because he does not want to go through the trouble of collecting them all, and just one piece would be of no use to him. But the piece automatically fixes itself onto the floating window. Tian tries to grab it out furiously, while thinking that this system is always making his life more difficult. The mysterious God's bone fragment appeared, and energy fluctuations have appeared in all the portal around the world. The world's strongest people have all felt that something will happen. The 4 raiders show up at Fang Chunni's office. He asks them how it went. He hopes that they haven't let people find out that there's something fishy about Tian's death. Lan Zimo tells him that they wouldn't dare to not finish a task that their manager has given them. She also tells him that she pushed Tian into a bottomless cliff, and as long as he cannot fly, he would be dead. And once the portal closes and his corpse is teleported out, it'll seem like he fell and there won't be any trace. Fang Chunni says that this is a great achievement, for which they would be rewarded handsomely. He then grabs hold of Lan Zimo and asks her to tell him what she wants, and says that he would definitely grant that. She says she would not dare to make requests because anything that he gives her would be good. So Fang Chunni tells her that she is very thoughtful. He also says that he would treat her well while grabbing her, leaving her feeling uncomfortable. He then asks them to hurry up and go settle their accounts at the appraisal hall, and that he would give them their rewards later on. He tells them to act miserable when they get there and not let anyone get suspicious of them. At the appraisal hall, they walk up to a counter and Liu Tian says that they're here to report their results. The woman behind the desk says that the mission statement said that this group was a 5-man team, so she asks them where the 5th member is. They immediately act like they're upset and dramatically say that even though he was an F tier and had great potential, they couldn't protect him and so he died. She says that's a disaster. However, in her mind, she thinks why they are acting like this because someone dies all the time in dungeons. After checking their rewards, their total is 239,675. Suddenly, a voice calls out to them and tells them to wait. It is none other than Tian, who shows up with his own bag of rewards. Lan Zimo and the others are stunned that Tian is still alive, so Tian asks her if it's because she told them that he died. She has nothing to say in return, so the woman at the desk asks him to bring out the resources he got. He takes out some crystals from the bag, and from his storage ring, he pulls out more magic crystals. Although the crystals are not big, there are plenty of them, and the woman is surprised at the profit they earned, which amounts to 493,645. She says that even if this is divided between 5 people, each person would get almost as much profit as one can get from the C-tier underground city.